I'm George Simons, co-founder of SOLOSUIT, and I'm going to show you folks 6 tips for drafting an answer to a debt collection lawsuit. These are awesome 6 tips, so stay with me. Number 1, the answer isn't your place to tell your side of the story in depth and give all the details about your whole life story about how everything led to this one event and this one lawsuit. Number 2, deny, deny, deny. Those are the lawyer's best friends. You're just going to want to deny everything. Number 3, include your defenses. Don't forget the defense. A lot of standard templates online or at the court, they don't have the defenses or affirmative defenses. You got to include your defenses. Number 4, use standard formatting or quote-unquote style. Number 5, include the certificate of service. And number 6, make sure you sign the document. Okay, so those are 6 tips. I'm going to go over each one in more detail now. In case you were wondering, SOLOSUIT can do all this for you. We actually draft the answer for you and we'll send it into the court. Wherever you're being sued, we'll take care of you. And in this video, I'm going to be getting into the laws. I think it's important for you guys to know how the law actually works and what laws apply to the situation. The laws that govern writing an answer are called the rules of civil procedure. I'm going to be citing the federal rules of civil procedure because those are the rules for the whole nation. Rule 7, subsection A2 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. It's a core document that it mentions an answer to a complaint. And in an answer to a complaint, you do 2 things. You admit or deny the paragraphs that are in the complaint, and then, second, you state your defense. Those are the only 2 things you do. It's not a part where you give all the facts, oh man, got this credit card debt because I had a bunch of medical bills and I got the credit card payment off. It's not where you say any of that. Tip 2, deny pretty much everything. So the first section in your response, in your answer document, is the response to allegations is what it's called. It just means you're saying what you think about each statement in the complaint. Okay, and there's only 3 ways you can respond. You can deny, you can admit, or you can deny for lack of knowledge. Okay, deny, colloquial language we use, is just I disagree with something, anything in the paragraph. Okay, or I want them to prove that the paragraph is true. You admit something if you agree, only if you agree with absolutely everything in the paragraph. And then 3rd, you deny for lack of knowledge if you're whatever, I don't know. Deny for lack of knowledge, right? Some states, it's important to note, will let you just do a general denial where you just deny everything in the complaint. Some states don't allow that. Also, sometimes in more complicated cases, you might want to admit part of the paragraph but deny another part of the paragraph. Usually in these debt lawsuits, it's pretty simple. If there's anything in the paragraph you disagree with, you just want to deny the whole thing. And it's important to note, attorneys always say deny, deny, deny. It's because you don't have to admit anything, you can just deny all of it. And that's a great choice for most people. Alright, step 3, include affirmative defenses. And also other types of defenses. Alright, just gotta make sure you include defenses. A lot of forums online, a lot of stuff out there. It doesn't have the defenses that you need in them. Alright, there's a lot of defenses. Okay, so your options are laid out in the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 8C. It's a long list. I'm just gonna buzz through them, right? You got accord and satisfaction. That's an important one. That's saying, hey, we made a new agreement, I settled this debt for less and I actually paid it off already. That's a good one. Arbitration and award means you already arbitrated something and you already won. Not very common in this case. Assumption of risk. The other guys took on the risk. They knew what they were doing. Contributory negligence. The debt collector somehow contributed to the bad outcome here. Not very common. Duress. Means someone held you at gunpoint and forced you to make this agreement. Probably not very common, but sometimes applies. Estoppel. Means they're stopped for a lot of reasons from suing you about this lawsuit. Failure of consideration. This one's pretty common. Means you signed an agreement, but they actually bailed on their side of the agreement. Maybe you got a loan to rent some furniture from the furniture rental place, but the rental place bailed and never gave you the furniture. That could happen. That's pretty common. Fraud. Means the debt collector or the person suing you was fraudulent when you made the deal. Illegality. Not very common. It means you guys agreed to do something illegal, now they're suing you to force you to do something illegal. Pretty weird, not common. Injury by fellow servant, not really applicable here. Latches means that they waited too long and now they can't see anymore. Different from statute of limitations. License. Payment means you already paid the debt. Payment's common, right? If you already paid the debt, don't pay it again when you get sued for it. Right? Just respond when you're lawsuit. Don't pay it again. Release means they let you off the hook. Res judicata, you're already sued about this once, doesn't really apply very often. Statute of frauds means that they oftentimes they can't sue over a contract that's not in writing. So if it wasn't in writing, bring up statute of frauds. Statute of limitations, finally, everybody's favorite statute of limitations. Says, in a lot of states, like let's say the last time you made a payment on this debt was 6 years ago, now they're trying to sue you like 6 or more years later. It might be barred by the statute of limitations, meaning they can no longer sue you for this debt because it's been too long. Pretty great defense. And then waiver means that they, again, kind of like let you off the hook, or they, for some reason, waive the right to sue you. So those are some of the common affirmative defenses in our SOLOSUIT answer. We help you make all of these in the best way possible, alright? Okay. There are some other defenses, though, that are also important and oftentimes applicable in these cases. And those are found in the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 12b. Okay, these are called 12b defenses. It's important to note all these defenses, you only got one chance to make them. You got to make them when you file your answer. First type of defense here is a lack of subject matter jurisdiction. Pretty common. So what that means is, like, you're being sued in a court that doesn't handle this type of case. Okay, maybe you're being sued for a lot of money, but you're being sued in a small claims court. Subject matter jurisdiction. Okay, you can bring that up as a defense. Lack of personal jurisdiction. Let's say, like, you're in Florida. I've always lived in Florida. Got the debt in Florida, but they're being sued in, like, Texas. Sorry, lack of personal jurisdiction. The court doesn't have jurisdiction over you. One of the last main types here for defenses is venue. Okay, so that just means generally you're being sued in the wrong place. You can bring up a venue defense. Then 12b also lays out some defenses about service. Okay, so that means if you're being, if you're improperly served or insufficiently served, that is a defense, and you can bring that up. You really should bring that up. Okay, and then there's just a couple other defenses that aren't very important that are mentioned, like failure to state a claim, failure to join a party. Okay, tip number 4 is to use standard style. Okay, the answer document is not really a place to do something crazy fancy. You just want to make a standard court document that looks like most other court documents, because most courts will accept a standard document, especially when you are filing without an attorney. Okay, if you are an attorney, you can get all kinds of crazy about rules about, like, it's a 0.5 inch margin, not a 0.75 inch margin, right? They can get all crazy about that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, you can just use a standard styling for your document. Okay, what do I mean by styling? And this is laid out in Rule 10, Form of Pleadings. Okay, it talks about what the styling is, how documents should look, and a lot of courts, a lot of states have their own little nuance rules here. But a standard style looks like this. Okay, this is our SOLOSUIT answer document. This is what it looks like. Okay, so you got some key points here. First, you got the defendant's information up in the top left corner. Okay, you're gonna have, like, first and last name. You're gonna have the address. You're gonna have the email address. We like to add in that you're self-represented just to make the court a little bit more sympathetic for you. Next up, you got the court caption. Okay, so the name of the court. Oftentimes it's like a few parts here. It's like in the San Bernardino County Court, so it's like the place and the type of the court, and then it has the state of California. Okay, those are the 3 common elements, like the county, the type of the court, the state. Okay, and you just want to put those in, usually in all caps. Oftentimes has language like in the, probably not necessary, but pretty standard just to include that. So you got the plaintiff here in this example, super evil debt court. That's the plaintiff. And then we got the defendant, who we're calling SOLOSUIT man. Then you have the title of the document. In this case, it's an answer. That'll suffice. You can also put answer to complaint. It has the civil number, super crucial. Case number, possibly the most important piece on the styling is the case number, because that is what most courts use to find the case. Okay, they don't use like the party names or even the court name. They usually just go right to the case number. That's a unique identifier. It's got to be on the document, except for in some courts like Minnesota or Utah, where the case number might not actually be assigned immediately. And then oftentimes the judge name is there. Oftentimes at this point in the lawsuit, a judge is not assigned. And then that's it. That's pretty much it for the standard styling. You'll notice that the spacing and the lines are all unique. This is kind of how a standard court document looks. It is a absolute pain to format that on Word, unless you're like a Word expert or something. Real difficult, right? You can really just do it over on SOLOSUIT.com. We make it real easy to make a professional looking document and get it done. All right, tip number 5, include the certificate of service. This is covered in Rule 5, interestingly enough, of the Rules of Civil Procedure. It says basically if a party is represented by an attorney, service under this rule may be made on the attorney unless the court orders service on the party. Okay, so if there's an attorney, you just want to serve the attorney. Okay, you don't want to, so if you're being sued by Midland Funding LLC, you don't serve Midland Funding LLC, you serve their attorney. Okay, that's the main thing to know here. And then here is what a certificate of service looks like. Okay, it's oftentimes just like a few paragraphs you can append at the end of a document on a separate page or on the same page. And it has a few different elements. Okay, so it says how you served the plaintiff and the court. Most cases it's going to be by U.S. mail. Okay, via mail here. So then it has the address. In this case, we're actually missing the court address. I apologize about that, but yeah, you'd insert the court address there just to make sure that you list the address. Main thing here is the plaintiff's address that you want to include, and then you want to make sure that you have the date. Okay, so those are the 3 elements for a certificate of service. How you served them, probably by mail, the address for the court and the plaintiff, and the date you served them. All right, number 6 is sign the document. I don't want to do all this and then forget to sign the document. You gotta sign the document. Okay, signatures of documents are covered in Rule 11 of the FRCP. It says every pleading, written motion, other paper must be signed by party personally if that party is unrepresented. All right, so you gotta put your John Hancock on that document yourself. When you are signing a document, you are stating that the document is true or, quote, reasonably based on belief or lack of information, end quote. So people are sometimes worried, man, well, if I just like denied all this stuff and it actually turns out to be true, am I going to be subject to perjury? The answer is no. Okay, the perjury doesn't really necessarily apply. It isn't designed to apply in this kind of case, like to stop you from denying paragraphs. It's on the other party. It's up to them to prove that everything's true. You can deny pretty much whatever you want, right? You should be truthful. Like if it's clearly true, you might not want to deny it, but generally speaking, you really just deny everything. That's what most attorneys do. There's a few different ways to sign a document. You can sign a document by hand. Oftentimes that will require you to print out the document and then sign it and then put it in the mail or bring it down to the court in person. Since 2001, believe it or not, you've actually been legally able to e-sign documents. Okay, a lot of programs out there have like the fancy like sign with your finger stuff going on. It's wholly unnecessary. You can actually just use something called a conformed signature, which is what most attorneys do, where you just have, it looks like this. This is what our signature looks like. Just has a /s/ right here, and then it has the name, and that is what's called a conformed signature. Because of the e-sign Act of 2001, it says basically like disregarding any other law out there, an e-signature can't be denied legal effect simply because it is an e-signature. Okay, so you can e-sign practically whatever you want, and this is how we do the e-signature at SOLOSUIT. Okay, there you have it. Those are my 6 tips for how to make a freaking awesome answer to a debt collection lawsuit. All right, just in recap, first, answer is in your place to like tell your life story. Second, deny. Third, include all your defenses. Fourth, use standards formatting or style. Fifth, include the certificate of service. And sixth, make sure you sign that bad boy and then send it into the court. Alright, just as a reminder, SOLOSUIT makes it really easy to do all this for you. You can just go over to SOLOSUIT.com.